Welcome back to the Weekend Warrior Show Recap Podcast. I'm Tyler from the Unemployed Architects. It has been a little while since I've checked in. I have not been good about recording in this quarantine. I don't know what it is. I just feel like I've had a lot of work stuff going on, which is so boring. But, so got a lot of shows to talk about. I might pull up my calendar on the phone here and go through them and see what I can remember. I don't know. I started doing guest. So I started doing guest, and that I started waiting longer in between to do regular ones. So I guess that's kind of why I've been slacking. But this is a weird one because it's been so long. I'm feeling very colorful. I'm in a different setting than I normally am. I also have my iPod, or not my iPod. Oh man, really sign I'm getting old, I guess. I got my earphones, Bluetooth into some Pandora, so I'm actually listening to music. I don't know, I thought it'd be a weird change of pace. But, so let's get back here. So, it is my 32nd birthday. This eve. I am by myself, naturally. And it's a Sunday. So I'm scrolling back in my phone, seeing what we're going to talk about here. Alright. How far back? How long has it even been? At least till August. September. So, some Houdini shows. Trading Post show got canceled. Summer Shindig got canceled. Acoustic at Clark Bar. I had that one. I've had that one regularly. I had a couple at Gill Street, which have been pretty fun. Man, that is very undescript. One of them Blair came to, and Dave was there as well, and we kind of prepared for our BCPA show, our live recording there. And so we did the whole set. A lot of my guitar students came. That was a lot of fun. Kind of got to see me in action. I didn't feel like I sounded great, but what else is new? And, it was just a lot of fun to have Blair there. I think one time it was just Blair and I, and then one time it was Blair and I and Dave when we played at the BCPA. Because there were two of those. I definitely did a Houdini show by myself, and that was fun. I'm looking, there was one, it was like a memorable show. Kicks in Towanda, that was fun. That was like evening time. It got a little cold, so everybody left very early, so I was a little disappointed on that front, but we, I don't know. Sorry if I feel scattered, or sound scattered. I feel scattered for sure. I'm all over the place. That's how I feel every second of every day. Just, all over the place. But what was the show? We did a show at a festival. I'm trying to remember that show. Blair and I played the birthday party in Pontiac at Bob and Ringo's. That was a lot of fun. That was older crowd. It's a very kind of laid back show. I picked up a couple shows at Four Door Brewing, which was like a place in Decatur, kind of a little distillery there. So that was definitely fun. Just me solo. I did my one-man band. I've been doing a lot of sitting on the cajon and playing. Instead, with my one-man band, instead of standing and doing the big kick drum. Finding that a lot of those places or I'm finding that I pick to play the sit-down cajon at a lot of the places that are more chill, laid-back kind of shows. I feel like when I play the kick drum, sometimes I feel like I'm like attacking everybody with my sound. But man, on this on this Pandora station, I've had two songs that Blair and I used to cover constantly. One of them was called It's Time by Imagine Dragons. Both songs he sang too. And then Pompeii by Bastille. And I've listened to this Pandora station a lot of times. Those songs have never come up before. But anyway, it's been a obviously weird summer. I don't know. It's like a lot of shows got canceled. Started a new job. And just been trying to pretend it's all normal. Everything's normal. I don't really feel like it is, but I'm gonna keep pretending. Man, none of these songs are jumping out at me. So the station I'm listening to is it's a band called Need to Breathe, all one word. They're like this. They're kind of Christian-y, which is not something I usually go for, but they're borderline. So it's like they use their metaphors well, and they don't just blatantly say certain things that would be considered Christian. Don't get me wrong, they have some of that, and I usually just skip over those songs, but they have a couple songs that are just undeniably good, really across the board, and the vocalist just is phenomenal. And honestly, a lot of the time when they start singing about Christian-y type stuff, I usually just pretend, like in my mind, just pretend like they're talking about music, because that's kind of my version of that, I guess. So, but yeah, I don't know. I've been waiting for a good song to kick on. I haven't really gotten one. Those ones that I used to play with Blair, those ones are good songs, but they're very, very poppy. But they definitely bring me back to some fun times. Ooh, American Authors, I don't know why that one's on here. It's all kind of poppy at this station, but some really cool stuff comes up sometime in that Need to Breathe band. I think they're really good. I mean, I try not to be too prejudiced with my... If something's good, it's good, but... And I think this really qualifies. But here's another one. I've been really liking this band for a long time called Johnny Swim. All one word. I guess I like the all one word band names. Johnny Swim, all one word. Need to Breathe, all one word. If you're wondering what a good song to check out by Need to Breathe, it'd be a song called Slumber. Song is very cool, and then they do this live version of Stand By Me that man, the vocalists just kill it. He like, it sounds kind of normal for the whole song, and then at the end he does these vocal runs, and like he goes up to like the blues key instead of just like the regular key, and he hits these cool fun notes, and there's two singers and the other guy kind of trade off. It's like a dueling guitars kind of thing, but with their vocals. So they do a really cool live version of that song, and then they have a song called Cages I like a lot. I like the lyrics a lot in that one, because they like lead you into a, I don't know, it's not so straightforward, but they get you to the idea of what they're saying, which is, I don't know. It was just very artful in what they're trying to say. I think, like, that matters. And this band, Johnny Swim, have two just amazing vocalists. It's like a guy and a girl. I think they're husband wife, and their harmonies are just so good, so ridiculous, and the male vocalist, like, he has one of those voices that you just don't even know how they're born with it. Like they, it doesn't seem real. It seems fake. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like pitch perfect, and it sounds like the best singer. Like if you thought of a classically good singer, it sounds like that. It's not really like a ton of style to it necessarily, but it's so good. And like he'll get a little raspy sometimes, but he rarely hits bad notes and rarely hits them live too. And then the girl, she sings lead on a lot of stuff too, and she has, I wouldn't say her voice is as good as the male vocalist, but it's a little more interesting than his is. So like it has a little bit more like style to it, or more originalness to it. But they're both really good, and then when they come together for cool harmonies, it's just undeniably good. So they come up on this Need to Breathe station a lot, and if you're gonna need to check out their stuff, I would definitely recommend some songs. I would definitely recommend a song called Home. I think that's the first one by them I ever really liked. And I saw them perform it live, and then they went in the live version, they went into like a bunch of different covers, and then they bring it back. Like, it's very cool song. Home by Johnny Swim. Diamonds was another one. I really like the lyrics too. They're just really powerful, I feel like. And they have a lot of good stuff. I do feel like some of their stuff, for me, kind of borderlines a little too poppy. So like, I don't love every one of their songs by any means, but there's some of their songs which are undeniably good. I'll pull up my playlist because I feel like I am forgetting a ton. Let me just find it here. This is what I do. I make playlists on YouTube for some reason, and that's the way I keep track of it, because normally I listen to Pandora. Bridges, that's a really good one. Marietta, Pay Dearly. Flowers. Flowers is the female vocalist, and her voice is it seems like it's recorded live, and there's this like reverb on it that is like incredible. And I think the coolest part of that is it's like the quietness of it. Like you can hear every detail. Lonely Night in Georgia is one of my favorites. And Villains is cool. Back to You is cool. So yeah, those are my favorite Johnny Swim tunes. Definitely recommend checking them out. Right now, I just had Rainbow Kitten Surprise came up, and another one of just my favorite bands right now. Rainbow Kitten Surprise. Have a funky name, but I think that's like delightfully intentional. Like it's kind of off-putting, I think, to a certain demographic of people, which is fine until I think even those people, when they hear the music, don't really think it necessarily sounds like that would be their name. But and for some reason, some of the people I brought up their name to are like, oh, I would never listen to a band called that, or like they'll say something like to that extent, not exactly that, but anyway, they have another band that has a ton of really awesome songs, but they do have like a category of music that doesn't really jive with me necessarily, but they're good songs. They're just so great. I'm listening to this one right now called Goodnight Chicago, and the lyric, I feel like nobody knows Pain like this, the guy who writes the lyrics and the singer. I don't know who does it in the band, but like they know like pain and emptiness better than most bands that I've heard that are more current, I guess. Or really, I don't know, it just really, really appeals to me for some reason, that feeling of It's like I feel like somebody I can relate to on that, that pain and that emptiness feeling. And when I hear it in song form, it feels good to be heard, I guess. Or I guess I'm the one listening. But anyway, Good Night Chicago, that's one of my favorite songs. In the lyrics, he talks about he killed a man just to make them, whomever, love them. So, like he's saying, like he killed like that version of himself. He became a different person to become like this, new person that this other person could love. It's just a really, really like relatable kind of sad song. But and one of the main lines is "Don't shut down on me, don't shut down on me now," and he's like, he changed who he was so this person would, be able to be with them, and then they're still kind of shutting down. I don't know. Just great lyrics. Lots of numbers. He uses numbers a lot. And then right now I have a Half Moon Run just pop on, a song called Fire Escape. I really like this band. But I think I might only really like them because I saw them live. And there's like probably 5 of their songs that I'm just like obsessed with. But it always kind of brings me back. I went down to Florida with a couple buddies of mine, Kev, the bass player, John Rainbolt, Trevor Weisner, and it was a Mumford & Sons like festival. It's called Gentlemen of the Road Tour, and I think that's what it's called. I can't remember if that's what it was called or that was the one before. Anyway, I digress. This band opened on the day Mumford plays. It's a 2-day festival, and I mean, they just killed it. I felt like the atmosphere was drab, but their excitement to perform in that moment in front of that many people like just pulled everybody in. And I guess it was a little bit later in the day when I saw this other band called Bear's Den that same day, and they have a song I really like called something about the Bay, Pompeii. I can't remember, Pompeii by Bear's Den, but I didn't really get into them because the atmosphere, they were like first that day. I feel like that would have been such a hard slot to play. But anyway, so Walk the Moon, Half Moon Run comes out, and they just were electrified. I don't know how else to describe it. Their energy was so next level. They were just so excited to be there that they couldn't. Because Trevor had tried to show us like, oh, this is one of the bands that's like gonna be cool, and like showed us a couple songs. Like, yeah, this is okay. I didn't really. So again, I don't know if I'm biased to really liking that band because I saw them live, or if they really are just great. But I do think that there's definitely some sort of goodness about them, even if you hadn't seen them live. I think they do provide something. But anyway, so that song's called Fire Escape, the one I was just listening to, and really simple, kind of straightforward song, but just very pretty. Some other ones to check out by them would be Circles, I think, is one of them, and Call Me in the Afternoon. That was like my favorite for the longest time. Call Me in the Afternoon. It's like in that song, when I saw it live, it was like 3 people were doing percussion. The singer, who usually plays guitar, and they like all sang like amazingly. So there's these crazy good harmonies, kind of like local natives-y type harmonies. And then the drummer had like a keyboard in front of him. So it was like he was playing like this complex piano part, and then he was doing like the kick and maybe hi-hat with his left, and then everybody else had like a tom in front of them. So it like had this. It was very interesting to watch. And anyway, so that is a really good band that I've been pretty into lately. I know this started as a podcast about my shows, but it's all a blur. I wish I had more to say on those. There was this festival Dave and I did that was like at a winery kind of by Springfield. I think it was called In New Berlin. And I can't even find it in my phone. Dave kind of was the instigator on all that, which, usually I am, so I think maybe that's why I can't find it in the notes. But the first night, we played both days. We played the first night, like, before kind of the main band played, which was cool. I was definitely way too energized, but I think I pulled it off. It was weird, though, because it was like there was a lot of people there, but it felt kind of empty because, with the social distancing stuff. And then the band that was like the headliner, which is a Grateful Dead cover band, they came out, and it just seemed like everybody came out of their shell or something. I don't know if I just wasn't really the right vibe. But then the next day we played first, and we played like a 2-hour set, and it was me, Dave, and Lowe that day. And I kept having a ton of technical difficulties, but overall it was like, we did some covers too, which I think maybe that helped. And the first night I did all originals, just kind of tried to rock it down their face, I guess, maybe a little too hard. And then the second day was a lot more laid back and like, I don't know. We kind of gotta take a breath. I think the first night was 40 minutes. Second day was like 2 hours. So definitely got to catch our breath between songs a little bit more. And we did a lot of like Beatles and like Petty and a bunch of that stuff. I kept breaking strings because I had to work, and then get up early and go to that show. So it was like work, night one. After, like, right when arriving, go set up, play, tear down, drive back, and then we had to leave early in the morning the next day to get there in time. So I didn't have time to change my strings, so I ended up and broke like 3 in that show, and then my pedal board wasn't working right because I think it had some bad cables, which is always super frustrating. But overall, I think we sounded pretty good the second day. We sounded good the first day. It just wasn't great. And that's what I was hoping for, being great in front of a giant crowd of people. But I don't think we grabbed them. But the second day, we definitely got some head turns, people that were into it. But it was still kind of a thin crowd because it was early in the day. People were just like waking up. I think we played like 2, or maybe it was like 11 to 2 or something. I don't know. That was the one show I was trying to recap, but anyway, everything's just been a blur and scattered. All these ideas, but weird things keep happening. So it's just hard to keep track of. I don't know if this is even going to be a releasable podcast, honestly, because I'm just so all over the place. But again, I'm feeling colorful, so I don't know. So I'll get to the most recent thing. I did the BCPA live recording, and I mean, I would say it was in the upper 75%, maybe not quite 100% for sure, but maybe 80. 75 to 100, somewhere in there. It's so hard. It's so weird. It's so weird to perform when there's like 3. I don't even know how many cameras. Maybe 3 or 5 or something pointed at you. It's like it was me, Blair, and Dave, and we had practiced the set more than a handful of times. We felt, fairly confident. We didn't practice as much as we should, but because that never happens. But the day of the show, we got together and went through the songs, and it felt like so good. Like we just rocked, and I did foot drums for every song because playing pretty much brass tacks, like foot drums, Dave's bongos, and Blair just plugged direct into an amp, which is like the exact opposite of what he ever does. Because, he has the cockpit of pedal boards that he brings. But anyway, so we did it, and like we practiced that day, and we felt like we rocked, we had fun. And then we got to the BCPA, and we got all set up, and everybody there was so nice to us and just like treated us like rock stars, which was so cool. And we did a sound check, and I was like, wow, like I'm feeling way better than I normally do for like stuff of a similar nature. And the overall vibe was just so fun and cool. And it was like we were in this big open theater by ourselves, and it was like we were all there for a combined purpose, and we had semi-prepared. Again, not as much as we probably should have, but we definitely did do that. And the cameras get going, and it's just like such a weird feeling. And then it's like it matters all of a sudden or something. I don't know how else to put it. It's like I think when I play normally, it matters to me, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. That was like the moment we had been preparing for. Whereas every show we play is like for that specific show, but there's another show. This was something that was like had an ending on it, if that makes sense. It's like a project. We got this opportunity we wanted to deliver on. And again, I think we got 80% where we needed to be, and it got captured at 80%, which is rare. I think that when I think about like live recordings of bands, like it's literally like catching lightning in a bottle, because being on this side of it, you realize like, I don't know, maybe there's just some people that just always have lightning. I don't know. Maybe that's why they get, popular or something, is because their accuracy is very high for, delivering on that lightning. But in the times past that I've done stuff like this, as soon as you get a camera on you, your mind state, like my mind state changes. It's like I have, like, okay, so I'm playing the guitar, I'm singing, I'm thinking of the words, which I'm second guessing, like at that moment. Even though I've practiced these songs, played them hundreds of times, but in that moment, I'm like, sometimes I'm thinking like, am I gonna say the right words? So this is like a whole, because I'm so on like autopilot with that stuff, and I'm like, so I have this second like thing in the back of my head, like commenting like, I wonder if I'm gonna say the right words that are coming. And then behind that I have this whole other like, I don't know, personality or vibe or observer, like thinking like, this is going okay. I think you might be singing a little sharp because you're excited, so maybe calm down, you're tightening up a little bit. So then I have this observer, and then like at the same time, I'm playing the foot drums in some songs, and I'm like, I don't know. Whereas without the cameras, I lose that person guessing about the words. I just kind of, if I forget the words to something, I don't care. I just go with whatever that moment is. And then also, like that third person that's commenting on the performance, he shows up sometimes and shows on like bigger shows, but a lot more when I'm like recording something, as far as the critic, I'll call him. So I have the observer and the critic kind of in the back of my head while I'm playing and trying to be in the moment. And I think the battle, if you even watch that performance, like I feel like you can sense them kind of fading a little bit, and that's what you want. You want to be in it. I don't know how else to say it. In it. And throughout the show, I think, you see that more and more. There was a weird thing that happened towards the end where we couldn't hear the drums at all. So the last like few songs, like it got a little weird playing because my kick drum, no matter how hard Misery was the song. I was like, stomping as hard as I could. And, if you don't have a good kick drum mix, which usually you don't have to do anything because it's loud enough. But in this scenario, if you lose the kick drum, you're having to put more effort to stomp on it harder to try to make it louder, and that little bit of CPU. I think that's ultimately what I'm saying about a lot of this stuff is like your CPU is drained. So because I have the critic, the observer, and then like my physical body having to focus on like stomping harder, and think, along with all the other stuff, thinking of the lyrics and the guitar parts and the notes and the beats and all that stuff. Anyway, but I think most of Blair's songs went well. The first like 5 especially, there were some times where when I was listening to it for the first time, I was like, I could get lost in it a little bit, and that's for your own music is pretty hard to do. I think I probably have a little bit easier time getting there with Blair's stuff because I feel like I'm such a critic of myself because I know exactly what everything should sound like and be like for every second of every song. So when something's not exactly right, I definitely notice it. And when I rewatch it, I kind of relive through that. But with his stuff, there were times where I was like, man, we're like kind of getting it, And that was a lot of fun to have that stuff. So he did yours. So I think I'll just go through the set list. I'm So, which I thought was a bold opening because it's not one of our most popular songs by any means. So I mean that song means a lot to me. I don't know if it really means much to anybody else. There's a couple people that have went out of their way to mention that song, and it's a deep cut really because it's from like I think it's the 13th song on our 14-track album. But anyway, it's a long kind of it's one of our epics, it has some space in it, and it's long, and it's not just like a 3 to 4 minute warm-up pop song. So I was like nervous to start with it, but I was like, I've been really feeling that song lately, and actually there's something I'll talk about later that I'll kind of maybe say why I'm a little more into that song lately. But so we went from I'm So to You're So, and You're So was so I wrote the song I'm So, and then Blair wrote the song You're So. And what he pretty kind of think the idea was, it was just to go the opposite way than I always go, which is the pessimistic kind of negative way, or that way of looking at stuff. He went like toward the positive and kind of countered. It's not like phrase for phrase countering, but there are some direct just counters, like word for word, line for line. But so I always think it's cool to do those back to back because it's like more of a story. It's a question and answer kind of thing. And his guitar solos in that were killer. And I don't know, his vocals were pretty good. He was like in it too, I could tell. And that got me for some reason. Then we did When You're Gone. Not my favorite rendition of that song. I don't know why. I just can never play it as good as I wish I could. It's a good warm-up song. I wish that I could be cool enough to play it well. I have. Don't get me wrong. I have been cool, but never been captured, I don't think. It's a cool guy song, and a little relaxed, kind of, and I tend to push, And then we did, what did we do after that? We did When You're Gone, Test 5. That was what was next. And that's like a classic, like, Blair song where, we've played that song for years and years and years. I've always wanted to get a good album version of that song. We were gonna have it on the Design to Shine if Blair was there the whole time for that. That was definitely gonna be one of those tracks. But and it sounded good. I mean, I think he sang it well. It was fun and upbeat and just really nice. And then after that, I think we did Good Friends, which might have been a mistake to do foot drums back to back. It was definitely a mistake to do them for the whole set of practice we did earlier. But I felt like that was like it was in training, like I was like, if I do it for all of the songs at this set, then when I only have to do it for half the songs at the real set, it'll be like a relief every time. But it was the same day, so I don't know what I was thinking. But Good Friends, I definitely had some snafus on the foot drums. It's a brand new song anyway, so I mean, I don't know. I don't really think it's there. It's not. It's close. Blair wrote this really, really cool guitar part for it, and I was something I wasn't really expecting. Blair doesn't necessarily learn a lot of my new songs, so it was cool that he like went out of his way to do it, and he wrote a part that just like that I'm gonna miss when he's not playing it like that. Those are how I know they're good Blair parts, is when I'm playing acoustic by myself and I'm like, oh, I just wish that I had that driving little part that he has right there. There's definitely a few songs like that, but I think this is gonna be one of them. And it's probably one of the more poppy songs that I've ever written. I think it's probably going to be the next one that we're in the studio for as well. And and then after that we did Take Your Pick, which the story behind that one is Blair wrote it like forever ago, and we may have played it live one other time, and it was, probably sounded completely different. It's just one that he feels, I feel like he feels like he has never really found the right combination of, like tempo and parts and stuff like that. So, but it's definitely the close. I make a joke a lot that it's, he's been writing the song for 10 years. But, I mean, it's very, like, haphazardly. Just taking his very, very sweet time, I guess. But, like, he'll change one tiny thing, and then we'll think about playing it, and then we won't. Or, in this case, we actually got it to, I think, a nice point where it's, like, really nice sounding. I think the big thing is we bumped up the tempo. We changed a couple parts around. I mean, I should say he. I just kind of followed what he did, but I agreed with him when he put the tempo up. So I thought that really brought the song out a little bit more. But anyway, so Take Your Pick, and I think that one went pretty well. And then what did we do after that? Planes, Trains, probably. Alright, so I did I'm So, When You're Gone, Good Friends, Planes, Trains. And then, so Planes, Trains, I always write that song off because that's my, like, oldest song. It's, like, the first song I ever wrote, So, I never expect it to sound good or bad, and I don't know, I have fun when I play it. Like, a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite songs to play, but a lot of times I've overthink that song to death, if that makes sense. Overthought that song to death. So, I just, I know where my flaws are in it and stuff already, like, without even having to listen to it again. But So, but I did, going back and listening to it, I think that was one of the shiners or the ones that stood out. And then after that would have been one of Blair's songs. Let's see, he did Yours So, Test 5, Take Your Pick. What were the other ones? Ride the Breeze, Eat Sleep, Missing One. I don't know. I can't think of all of them. But, so Ride the Breeze, that one was cool. I don't think that's what we did next, but it could have been Ride the Breeze. I think we each did 6 songs or 5 songs. I know we ended up having to take a couple off the set list the day of, so I'm a little rusty. And I've watched the set a few times, but I don't have it memorized, I guess. Anyway, so he did Ride the Breeze, which that song just always is fun to play, just rocks. That's one of the things I think was a fun takeaway, was like it was like a rock, upbeat, like, because sometimes when I'm acoustic, I'm playing like the singer-songwriter maybe a little bit more than we do when we play in that form, which seems more straight rock. And then would have been Misery, and that one I think was okay, but we lost the kick drum, and that bugs me extra bad. I feel like I sang it okay, and I played it okay, but like, I don't know, I just was sad that, and I don't know why I care or why I let one tiny thing bug me, but that I feel like that, not only did it happen in the video, but live they couldn't hear my kick drum very much for the whole set, let alone that last song, I don't think it was there. I did notice when I was playing live that maybe the mic would scoot out a little bit. And then Eat Sleep, that's the classic ending, one of my favorite Blair songs ever, because the main line is, you eat, you sleep, try to eat, sleep, and don't die in the morning. And I just think it's like, it speaks to the mundaneness of life sometimes, that like all you're trying to do is not die. And like a lot of it is talking about like just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I don't know, I feel like most people can relate to that. Life has a bunch of really exciting things, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of mundane parts in the middle but so we had practiced that song earlier, and it was, excuse my language, but it was fucking fun. We like rocked it. I did the foot drums on. It took me a while to figure it out, and I was like drenched in sweat, but like we were just all feeling good, and it sounded good, and we were having a good time playing it. And I don't know, we had practiced it with his drum, with his beat buddy, but we had him really loud when we were doing that. And then when at the actual show, I wasn't doing the foot drums, and the beat buddy got a little lost. So it's kind of weird that his beat buddy and my foot drums got quieter for the last song of each of our sets. But anyway, it's hard to really let go and like put it all out there on that line if you're having trouble hearing the drums that are keeping you in line, if that makes sense. I ended up, and I did get there kind of, to the extent that I could, but I had to jam my head into the monitor for the last, that whole last ending part. But, nothing compares to when we used to play that song, Big D and Kev and me and Blair. We would, that's the last song of the set, time to like let go and, not just go hard and give the rest of everything you got. And, everybody knew it. It's hard to not hear a full drum kit, whereas if it's, electronic drums like we were trying to do, it can get lost pretty easily. So yeah, I guess that's my recap for this episode. So on my podcast, or on my on my earbuds, Saint Seneca just came on. That is like maybe my favorite band right now. I mean, I go through phases for sure, but Saint Seneca, another all one word band. I'm noticing a trend that I've never noticed before, that I like bands that have their band name is all one word. But Saint Seneca, the lead singer and lyricist, I believe, writes some of the coolest lyrics I've ever heard. He has a weird voice, kind of neutral Milk Hotel sounding style. Not all of his songs, but his vocal, I wouldn't say his music sounds that way, but his voice does. And he just writes such good lyrics, like stuff that I feel like I would never even think of. Like, I would never even come close to thinking of. And he just does it, seems like easily. And he has a lot of like cool 80s sounds mixed in with his singer-songwriteriness. It honestly sounds like he could have recorded it all on an iPad. But, because I mean, it's not about the quality at all. And his vocals are just so good. I mean, he just always sounds like he's on key. But it's like weird in a very interesting way. Has a lot of style to it, very like mumbly almost, or like slurred. But the way he puts words together is like very intriguing to me. And I feel like he's inspired me like a lot. Just a great songwriter. So some of his songs, Only the Good Die Young, I think that's what it's called. It's some version of that. If you type that into wherever you're trying to listen to music, it would come up. And that song is just the words, the way they flow into one another is so good, and it's like effortless at the same time. And then the chorus is like, for the whole song, if you listen to all the words, I feel like the chorus is like okay. I mean, I don't think it's like amazing lyrics, but it's catchy. And then the verses come, and it's like so good. It's so poetic, and the way that he'll like fit these rhymes of two words inside of the rhyme of one word, if that makes sense. It's really, really interesting. And what he's saying, it's like he's saying everything intentionally. It's not like he's forcing a metaphor. I don't know. It's just so good. So that would be one of mine. I'm going to pull up my list because I can't leave any out of this guy. The other one is Dogs. I really like that one. Very kind of the opposite type of song. I guess one of the interesting things about Only the Good Die Young is that he plays it on like a bass. So it's like not... It's definitely not... Only the Young Die Good. I'm sorry, that's what the song is called. But it's not what you'd expect to hear, I guess. A singer and bass, kind of simple. And it's very lots of textural ambient sounds in the background. And then Missing Dogs, more of a acoustic kind of singer-songwriter-y lines. But and his voice, like nothing sounds perfect in that song, but in the best way. And then he has some like weird like holiday songs that the like soundscape of them bring me to the like they make me actually before I like really listen to the lyrics. Would make me feel holiday-esque, if that makes sense, or like All the Best is one of those. Plastic Baby Jesus, that's a really weird textural song, but just super like happy. And what is the one? No, Beast in the Garden's cool. It's kind of this crazy guitar riff that doesn't. It's hard to pick out like the time signature, but it just keeps going, and like I feel like it has like a Beatlesy sound to it. They have a song called "Fed Up with Hunger" that the girl in the band sings, and it's one of those like I can feel like that. Just that line, "Fed up with hunger." Like I'm tired of feeling this way that I always feel like I don't have what I need to have, or I am uncertain of whether I'm gonna get there ever. So that's a really cool one. There's one more. There's this really cool song, "Good Hand." That's a good one. A very 80s kind of soundscape. But there's this one that's like a full like quintet of strings, and it's just strings and vocal, and it's just like a really cool. I keep clicking on the same one, but I'm looking for the title. I'm not really good with titles, I'm finding out. That's kind of sad. I don't know why. I wish I knew. "Good Hand." "Ladder to the Sun"? No. "Frostbiter." That's a newer one, and that one's good. Maybe it's bad. No, not Bad Ideas. That's a fun one. "Acid Rain's" a fun one. Kind of cool lyrics. Man, I'm airballing. Oh, here it is. It's called "Denarius." And it's just this really pretty string quartet, kind of quintet thing. Sounds very, very pretty. And then he has this, his weird vocals over it that just are cool but interesting and sound pitch perfect pretty much at all times. But yeah, so really like Seneca. Highly recommend. Let's see what's back on the Coldplay is playing on my Pandora. Can't really get through that necessarily. I don't get me wrong. I like Coldplay a lot, or I have liked Coldplay a lot. I've just over listened to them to the point where it's a little bit tough to. But some songs are classic. "Shiver" is one of my favorites. And "Fix You" obviously has this like, there's such a emotional feeling that music causes. It's like perfect, like end of the movie, kind of helpless, kind of sadness. It's like you want to help but you can't, so you're sad about it. But anyway, that's a lot of what I've been listening to. I don't know if I have anything else to say that's important or interesting. I was going to mention I am starting another podcast, so a little bit different than this one. This one's just kind of free form, whatever I want it to be, which is pretty punk rock and cool. I can kind of just do whatever I feel like. So I do have Mathian supposedly only not in any way a reflection of him. I just, with how scattered I am, I hope that I make it happen. But anyway, he's supposed to be on next Sunday, so that'll be a hopefully fun conversation. I don't know how deep of a conversation I've ever really had with a Mathian, so I'm hoping we get really in there. And but the thing I was about to talk about was I'm starting this new podcast. Don't really have a name for it, but it's going to be deep dives on specific songs, and it's going to be completely different format than this one, in that I'm pre-writing a lot of it. So like I'm essentially going to write out like a chapter of a book and read it like an audiobook kind of, and hopefully hopefully it'll be good. I don't really know. What I was saying earlier is the song "I'm So." Like, I wanted to start with that song at the BCPA because that song is the first song that came up when I was thinking of this idea for this next podcast. I'm going to keep going on this one, don't get me wrong, but I have been working on that one a little bit extra lately because I want to get it off the ground. But, and that takes a lot more preparation because I have to like really listen to the song a few times and really try to get back in those different headspace. And really, I'm going to just be talking about anything and everything related to that song. So, like, maybe talk about what the song meant when I wrote it, maybe what it means to me now, all the different like ways it's kind of progressed, you know, from start to finish. Because when I first wrote that song, you know, it was an acoustic song, so how it came from an acoustic to like a full band version. And anyway, that song I've went a lot of different ways with. Like, as far as whether I even like it or think it's worth a damn. But coming around from this side of it, you know, it's a story in itself, if that makes sense. It's not just a song. There's a lot to it. And when I wrote it, I feel like it expressed how I was feeling, even though it didn't say it word for word, if that makes sense. But anyway, so it's going to be deep dives in songs where I talk, you know, maybe about just performing it one time and like the way it felt that second. So that's kind of going to be something else I've been working on. I don't know if I don't want to use that as an excuse for not being as proactive about this podcast, because I want to have both of them, because they are both they let me get out, just talk, say things that I haven't said, or I'm not able to say to anybody else, just stuff that, because, you know, if you have a conversation with somebody, it's like, it's like I don't want to say game, but it's, you know, it's not chess. it's like playing a song with somebody, I guess, or if you were, you know, you have to follow each other, so you don't really get to the point, the final ending, a lot of times, to your thoughts. So you don't express them all the way through sometimes. So this podcast has been very beneficial on that front for these solo podcasts, because I don't, when you talk to yourself like I'm doing right now, besides seeming like a crazy person out on my porch at 8 on a Sunday with my heaters going and my rainbow light, disco light spinning around or whatever, does make me feel crazy, but I follow the rabbit holes. You know, I get hopefully to the point that I'm trying, or that I have thought about but never said out loud. So I feel like that's a pretty fulfilling thing. But anyway, so when I'm So came on, after I thought about having this podcast, or starting this podcast, I had a lot of, like, it was tied to a lot of stories, and I just thought that it would be a good starter. And I feel like the vibe of that song, I still feel like sometimes, in a different way than when I wrote it. But, you know, a song is a journey, kinda. So, anyway, so that's something new I'm about to... I don't have a good name for it. I wish I had a better idea on that. I'm staring at 3 notebooks that I'm been writing in. So I guess my new thing is I got a bunch of different notebooks to try to organize how I think about things. This one that I'm holding is the new podcast one. So Just Stories is maybe one of the real life of a poet. I don't like that one. a life undocumented. I don't deep dive is an option. I'm gonna write that one down because I said that one earlier. But anyway, so I don't really know what the title is gonna be, but and how well I'm gonna really promote it. But we'll see how that goes. I'm excited about it because this has made me think about shows more in depth and more like think about things differently. But that makes me go back and revisit like the ideas behind songs and like where they came from. And I'm going to tell stories too. The second one I've decided is going to be about how I got the scar on my face. So that'll be episode 2 of that new podcast. I do like the notebooks and actually writing stuff down. I haven't done that in a while, but I do feel a little pretentious doing it. I can't like carrying them around. I can't carry them around because I want to hide them for some reason. But anyway, that's all for tonight. This is probably way too long, way too rambly, but that's where I'm at in my life, I guess. 32 years old today. Signing off. Thanks for listening. Have a good rest of your week.